Welcome back to the JDA podcast. On this episode, we have got transfer news since it is deadline day. We have got shocking transfer news, actually. Also, with the two EFL Cup ties that took place this week with City and United, and Villa and Leicester with a shocking result. All that will be coming up on this podcast episode. Also, we're going to talk about Ed Woodward and how his house got attacked in the midweek.
It is transfer deadline day, and it has been quite a hectic one. Sheffield United have yet again broken their transfer record on signing Danish midfielder Sander Berg from Genk for £23 million. A very good signing for them, and a player with a lot of potential.
Also, Bruno Fernandes has come to Manchester United, finally. If we didn't make the signing, I would have been Ollie out, just because we needed to get the signing over and done with. It was 46 million, plus some add-ons, and yeah, it was a good signing for United. Somebody for Saturday who can create chances against Wolves, which we'll need a lot. I'm surprised Wolves hasn't got him up, to be fair, because he's Portuguese. You surprised by that, Alex?
I think Wolves are very good at signing Portuguese players, but they haven't really signed any giant ones. I know they signed like Rui Patricio, but I think it'd be hard for them to get such a good player like Bruno Fernandes over to them.
Yeah, I think Bruno will get a creative aspect into the club and make it a bit more better to watch football, to be honest, because we'll talk about it later, but in midweek, it was a good game, but we were a bit shocking at times, and City just played all over us, really.
Wolves are close to completing the signing of 17-year-old defender Luke Matheson from Rochdale for a fee of £1 million, which I personally think is quite a bargain. He came onto the scene with a goal against Old Trafford to earn them a draw in the whole game, I think.
Yeah, went to penalties.
And sadly they lost, but he also showed some bright moments against Newcastle in the FA Cup, so I think it's a very good signing for Wolves. Where
would he fit into this Wolves team?
They've got a lot of good fullbacks, Wolves. They've got Johnny, they got
Vinagre.
Yeah.
Doherty.
I think in a few years he's going to be a very good fullback. He's very quick, but right now I don't see him getting anywhere but the under-23s.
Do you think he's been hyped up by all these, well, not all the goals, but the goals that he's scored, and because it's against big teams?
I think it's been blown out of proportion a bit too much, but I think he is a good player, and I think he'll do good stuff for Wolves in the future.
Now we're going to move on to Spurs. They've been quite active in this transfer window. We're going to start off with the signing of Steven Bergwijn, I think you pronounce it as. He's joined the team on a deal that will run till 2025. What do you think about that, just to add more attacking to their team?
I think it's a very good signing depending on how he does, because he's not really proven in the Champions League. He's played well for PSV in the Eredivisie, but he hasn't won the league or anything. I think he's won the league, but they haven't done anything in the Champions League, so it all depends. Could be shining star for Tottenham, but
do you reckon he could be a flop like Memphis Depay was at United, another Dutch player going to the Premier League?
It all depends how he takes to it, to be honest. I know Memphis Depay showed some bright sparks at United, but I think his attitude was just wrong, so I think he has to get the right mentality.
And other news, Lo Celso has gone to Tottenham from Real Betis. And this was announced at the same time that Christian Eriksen left the club, moving to Inter Milan. Lo Celso has scored 2 goals in 20 appearances for Spurs so far.
Do you reckon it was the right thing to do for Spurs to get him on the permanent rather than the loan?
I think so. I think he's not quite the same player as Eriksen, but I think he could do the same job. Eriksen did flop in form quite drastically, and I think if Lo Celso keeps playing like he is, I think he'll be a good signing.
What do you think about Lo Celso, Joe? Do you reckon they did the right thing of getting them on a permanent?
I do think so, yes. I think he'll develop into a phenomenal player, but so far he's only scored 2 in 20, which is an amazing form, but he's a midfielder, so we can't be expecting massive amounts of goals.
Now we're going to move on to Richarlison and Everton. Alex, this is some good news for you. Well, not really. Well, Everton have turned down a bid from Barcelona of 85 million. What are your thoughts on that? You could have had that in your bank, and you've decided not.
But I think if we keep going on like we are, we'd have got that 85 million and spent it on a player that's not as good as Richarlison. So, although I wanted to keep him, I think 85 million could probably turn away any slight shade of us being drawn out by FFP. But I don't think we have to worry, and I think Richarlison in a few years will probably still be worth that 85 million.
We've also got another loan deal for Newcastle, and it's Danny Rose from Spurs to Newcastle, and I'm not sure about that because Danny Rose has sort of gone off the radar a bit, I would say, in recent years because of Ben Davies is coming, and Pochettino I think's favoured him over Rose. So what do you think about that as a loan move for Newcastle, the right way for them?
I think it's definitely right for Danny Rose. I think because Pochettino used to like playing Vertonghen at left back and Ben Davies at left back. I think they're both better players than Danny Rose, and I think although they're both good players, Danny Rose is a very good player, and I think he should have moved to a slightly better team than Newcastle. I think he should have gone the way of who's that? What guy that's gone to Kieran Trippier? I think he should have probably gone abroad if he wanted to get some Champions League football. I think he's a Champions League quality left back. So
now we're going to go on the other side of North London and go to Arsenal. With Arsenal have completed the signing of Cedric Suarez on a loan move. What do you think about this, Joe? Arsenal getting another right back in for Bellerin, and do you reckon he's a good backup? He's from Southampton, but so what do you think?
Yeah, I don't think it would be a massive addition to the team. It might help strengthen them at the back, but I really don't think so.
What do you think, Alex? Was a bit of a quality player at Southampton. Big move for him, this. What do you think?
I think I can't see him starting ahead of Bellerin, but I think it's a good backup for Arsenal, and I think it's good for them to have a rotational player that's not one of the youngsters. I think he won't be brilliant at Arsenal, but if Bellerin does get injured or something, I think he'll be a good backup.
Also, Arsenal have also been, well, not interested, but they've made the actual loan move that's been complete for Pablo Mari from Flamengo on a loan deal. Another solid centre-back option for them, just in case. Well, I suppose you would start him instead of Mustafi, wouldn't you? Because he's awful at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's not a very proven player, but you've seen Martinelli come from the Portuguese league, and he's gone off to a flyer, so you never know. I think he'll be a good centre back in a few years if they if they try to sign him on a permanent.
Going back to Tottenham, they're in talks at the moment. In the last 4 hours of Victor Wanyama hopefully returning. What do you think about that? Because I know Mourinho wants to normally build like a team of tall defenders, or land of the giants as people call it. Do you reckon this is sort of an addition to that land of the giants?
I don't think if you're going to go for a player, I don't think you should go for someone as old as him, and I know he's had Premier League experience, but I'd go for a slightly younger player if you're going to go for height. I wouldn't go for older players, because if you're going to get a tall player, you need them to be quite young and fast. But if you're going to go for a Wanyama who hasn't really done anything at Celtic, I think it's the wrong move for them.
Also, some breaking news in the last hour or so. Edison Cavani will stay at PSG until the end of the season. What do you think about that? He had talks with United, as most people do, and Chelsea. What do you think about that, him staying?
I think he's not going to start over Mbappe or Neymar. But I think if he wants to keep scoring goals, stay in the French league. But yeah, I don't really see him staying next season. I kind of see him going to one of the smaller clubs in Spain. Well, not one of the smaller clubs, but mediocre club where he can still score goals and hopefully reignite his career.
I'm not going to get your thoughts on this, but it's Giroud who's staying at Chelsea. I don't think that's massive news, to be honest. Now we're going to move up north, and Manchester United have signed keeper Nathan Bishop from Southend. It's a bit of a weird one, this, because United have got De Gea, Romero, who normally start for their countries, and Grant, but I think his contract's running out this summer. But we've also got Dean Henderson at the moment, who's on a loan at Sheffield United, and I don't know why we're going to get this guy when we could have 3 world-class keepers at the club. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Alex?
Yeah, it could be a sign that Dean Henderson could be leaving. I know United won't want him to leave, but I don't think Dean Henderson will see himself getting into the squad ahead of De Gea anytime soon. But you never know, they could just want to sign another goalkeeper for the under-23s. So,
Joe, what are your thoughts? Because if you've got 2 experienced goalkeepers who have been to the best clubs in the world, and then you've got this guy coming in from Southend, and then you're Dean Henderson, saying, well, if he's coming, then that limits my opportunity of starting as the first choice goalkeeper. What would you do in his opinion, Dean Henderson? Would you stay at United for next season or so? Well, not stay, but because he's on loan. Or would you just completely have an actual solid deal in place that you would never go back on a loan and just on a permanent?
I don't know. I think I'd if I wasn't gonna start and I wasn't starting and someone else was brought in, I don't know. I don't think it would be worth staying.
Also, staying with United, they've called their interest in Josh King as they're looking for options elsewhere. We need a striker, but Josh King, he's English or Norwegian, but it makes him ever so more expensive if he's English. But yeah, I know he's Norwegian, but he's been in England for the most of his life. So I'm not sure on this one because we have been linked to Willian Jose from Real Sociedad and Cavani, but I don't think we need a striker before the deadline. But it's whether we can get an actual good striker in that won't cost us a lot, that's still decent. Because we've got Martial, budget striker. We've got Martial and Greenwood.
You are the
but
Czech club, and you're looking for budget strikers.
Yeah, because we don't want to overspend, do we?
You thought 46 million was a budget deal, though.
Yeah.
For Villa, that's crazy money.
Yeah, 46 million. But that's a player who's experienced, who's won the Nations League, which nobody really cares about, but still it's something in Europe. And he's got experience under his belt, and he can offer a lot more. If you think about Fabinho the other year at Liverpool, nobody really knew him, and now he's came up as the best CDM in the world.
That was ridiculously good.
Yeah, so it can change quite quickly. But also, Dries Mertens, has he been offered 5 mil? Alex will tell you this.
Chelsea have offered Napoli around 7 million in order to take Dries Mertens before his contract runs out in the summer. The 32-year-old scored quite a few goals for Napoli, and he could be moving to London sometime soon.
What do you think about that, Dries Mertens? I don't think. Why would he go from Napoli to Chelsea? I know his deal's run out, but surely he would be looking to go to a much better club with his talent.
Well, why would he go from a top of the league club to Chelsea, who, let's be honest, aren't top 6 anymore?
They're in 4th place at the moment, but yeah, they should be doing much better.
They've been dropping off for the past few seasons. I don't see him staying at 4th until the end of the season.
I think if he wants to reignite his career, I know Dries Mertens has been. He's probably had some of the best seasons of his career late on. I know last season he had a very good season. I think he scored something like 23 goals in 38 games. So, but he's kind of gone off the radar this season with Napoli. I know they've qualified for the round of 16 in the Champions League, but the team around him's getting better and better, and he's just slightly fading away. So I think if he wants to reignite his career, definitely come over to the Premier League. But maybe with someone like Liverpool or City, where he can stand in that front line and bang the goals in. So.
Now we're going to move to the Midlands with Ryan Bennett set to have a medical with Leicester. I'm surprised by this one because Ryan Bennett's not even a starter for Wolves at the moment, because you've got Roman Sykes, Billy Volley, and you've Connor Cody as well. So they're all class. So I can see why he's going, but why do you see Leicester getting him?
Why would Leicester take him if he's not even starting at the moment?
Yeah, that's a good point. Alex, what do you think?
I see why. I don't really see why Leicester are trying to get him, because they've got Soyuncu, Johnny Evans, and they've got a few backups in Wes Morgan and Seferovic, is it?
Yeah.
They've just signed him from Celtic. So I don't think Bennett's better than any of those centre backs, to be honest. He's not that young, but again, it's just. Yeah, he's coming on loan. But I don't see any point in him going, to be honest.
Now we're going to move on to Player of the Month for January. This month's nominees are Jack Grealish, Sergio Aguero, Alisson Becker, Decore, Henderson, Jordan Henderson that is, and Jack Stevens. Alex, I know what Joe's going to say, but let's come to you first. Who do you think's not won it, but who do you think should win it for you?
It's quite a hard one. I know Grealish has been on form, Aguero's been on form. Decore has been very good for Leicester. Decore has been very good for Watford lately. I know they've been on a winning streak. Jack Stevens, I've not heard his name that much, but he must be doing quite well. So, I think I'm definitely not going to go for Alisson, because although he's kept so many clean sheets, he hasn't really had to do much. I'd probably give it to Decore, because he's transformed the midfield of this Watford team lately. So.
What about you, Joe? I know what you're going to say, but yeah.
Actually, I'm going to take a balanced approach to this. Aguero would be a phenomenal pick. I'm not. Alisson, again, he hasn't done much for Liverpool because he hasn't had much of an opportunity to. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm just saying he hasn't had much to do. Henderson has also been very good. Again, he's not my favourite player because I didn't think he played very well for England at all last year, and I've kind of held a grudge. So yeah, my picks would be Aguero, or no surprise here, Grealish, just because he's an absolute mascot for our team. Like, he doesn't carry us. It's just when he's not there, it's like the players. It feels like they're missing something, or they're like, I don't know. It's hard to explain, but he's like our talisman in midfield.
I'm gonna go with Aguero, just because. Was it January where you got beat 6-1?
Can we not talk about that?
Yeah, right. Let's not talk about it. But Aguero did break the record for that, getting as many hat tricks with 12, I think it was. And he's at the moment he's looking that he could break Alan Shearer's record of the most goals in the Premier League. So yeah, I'm going to go with Aguero for this one.
Aston Villa have made it to the Carabao Cup final after a 2-1 win over Leicester at home. Goals from Trezeguet and Target were enough to send Villa through to the final, who will play Manchester City, who did lose on the night 1-0 to Manchester United, with Matic getting the only goal of the game and also getting sent off. So it's going to be Manchester City versus Aston Villa in the Carabao Cup final.
United, Matic got sent off after 2 yellows. It was. You say that City do tactical fouls, but I think we did quite a lot in that game, to be honest. We were the winners on the night, but we didn't really want that. We wanted the win, but we wanted another goal to seal it. But Matic's goal was a rocket. It was amazing.
Unfortunately, he had to get himself sent off.
Yeah, but apart from that, we actually played decently.
Think of how much better you would have done with 11 men.
Yeah, but it was only near I think it was like 60th minute or something. and so it's still got a lot of it's still a lot of time to go. But if we did have Bruno on that night, which we should have done because we should have got it done 2 weeks ago, I think we would have gone to penalties in that match. I'm not sure if we would have won, but I know we would have gave them more of a fighting chance. What do you think about the 2-1 to Villa, Joe?
I'm absolutely buzzing. I can't wait for Villa to go to Wembley. I'm not sure if I can make the game, but I'll do it for you guys, JDA. But yeah, I'm buzzing that we've got there, but I can't see us. If we win against City, it will be us scraping by, or because they've fluffed it up. I can't see us winning convincingly.
Yeah, it was very dramatic at that Villa match and Leicester the other night, but it was a good match. What are your thoughts on that Villa match, Alex?
I think Aston Villa did play quite defensively and they scored when they needed to. It was a very good goal from both Target and Trezeguet. I think their goalkeeper in the first half, Nyland, was probably the best player on the pitch. I think Leicester at some times were unlucky not to score, but yeah, definitely quite well deserved for a resolute Aston Villa on the night.
We also saw something from City that we don't usually see, and them getting a goal. They got 2 disallowed goals for offside, and at the moment, this City team, I know they got through to the final, but this isn't looking like the City that we saw 2 years ago, would you say?
No, definitely not. I think the pace in their attacks have gone. They're definitely missing Laporte. I think once Laporte's back, they'll be a much better team, but I don't see them getting anywhere near Liverpool or anywhere near the Champions League.
Now we're going to move on to the shocking news of Ed Woodward's house being attacked by some United fans, throwing flares into his house, well, not into his house, but just outside, and also putting graffiti on his front gate. What do you think about this?
Yeah, we've seen it with lots of other fans attacking the people inside of the club for things that are happening inside the club. But I just don't think it's very right. If he was trying to purposely sabotage the club, he would be doing a lot worse. And I think the signing of Bruno Fernandes has probably turned some of the fans back on his side. But I think it just wasn't needed from the United fans.
Joe, what do you think about this sort of protest that's happened?
I think it's ridiculous. No football player should go on the pitch scared for their life, seeing what they should come home to from fans. This is what made the England team perform so poorly in past years, and I don't think it's right that any football player should have to face this. Basically, it's bullying, and it's not right because it puts more unneeded pressure upon the players, and it can't help with their performance at all, and it'll just make them terrified. There's no point to it, and it's horrible.
United are planning to do a protest on Saturday in the 58th minute, although I don't know if it's going to be delayed because I think it's something to do with I don't know how many years since the Munich air disaster, so they're going to clap the 58th minute, I think, and then walk out after it due to the Glazers and Edward and all that shambles that's going on at the club. I'm going to be there on Saturday, and if you were me, what would you do?
I wouldn't walk out. I'd stay there and then get a better seat at the end.
Yeah, but seriously, what would you do? If you're in my position and you've got a ton of United fans walking off due to this protest, what would you do? Would you walk with them?
No, I'm not an expert on Man United, but I think if it's going that far to just boycott a match and so that you leave in the 58th minute, I think if you think that highly about what's happening and you believe in what they're doing, I think you should walk out. But if you just want a better seat, don't.
What about you, Joe? What do you think?
I don't know. It depends how the match is going. If it's a boring match, I'd probably leave. But I don't think you can leave if it's a tense struggle, which it will be against Wolves. But if it's obviously affected United very well, but I would have picked a different game to walk out on. I know it's a big game because you're playing Wolves, but I don't think you'd walk out on if you're playing Liverpool or City.
Yeah, could you argue though that it's quite a big game and United versus Wolves is always a quite quite a good match, and it will get viewers to watch, and this will has an opportunity to show around the stadium, show how much it means to the club. What do you think, Joe?
Yeah, it'll definitely make a massive statement, and if everyone believes in it this much, because it'll show the owners and Ollie just what exactly the fans are thinking of the club at the moment, and it'll almost definitely change something, as long as you can pull it off with a massive amount of fans doing it.
Yeah, I think if it's a one whole stand, then that'll seem that it's quite a big protest and they have to do something then. But if it's just a couple of fans, I don't see why it should be even happening. Thanks for watching this episode of the podcast. What do you two want to say anything about what happened on Saturday? We've not touched on it, but yeah.
Yeah, if you haven't watched it already, make sure you go and watch it. It's the best JDA podcast.
What's that? Video.
It's JDA video out. So yeah, make sure you go and watch that. Took a lot of time and a lot of money to do.
Not so much money, but
I put
20 quid
£55,000 into that video.
and you bought a boost
Yeah, and I bought 4 boosts actually. I bought
in the packet though. In the packet,
of course. But yeah, make sure if you haven't watched it already, you go and watch it. So yeah, thanks for watching.
Make sure to check out our Instagram. Go and watch that vlog because we're on 51 views at the moment, or maybe even more, and we're on par to be our biggest viewed video. So please share it as well.
Can we hit 1,000 views, please? Yeah, go give it a watch. It's our highest quality production so far.
All right, that's bye from me.
And me.
And me. Up the JDA.